Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be going over the latest two Dev Diaries about EU5. Welcome. So the Dev Diaries that we're going to be going through today are Tinto Talks number 17 right here, which really goes in depth about the whole pop system that EU5 is going to have. And then we're also going to take a look at Tinto Maps number 7 right here, which reveals Anatolia in all its glory to us. But first, let's go ahead and get started with this, and let's, delve into the pop system right here. A pretty controversial, well, maybe not controversial change, but, something that people were definitely divided on when it was initially announced. So, welcome everyone to Tinto Talks number 17, and this happy Wednesday will give you further info about the most secret game you could ever think of, the one with the codename Project EU5. Today we'll delve into the depths and mechanics of how the pop system of the game actually works. As a recap, we have 6 different social classes, so it's the nobles, the clergy, and the burghers. We already know that, of course. Those are viewed as the upper class, while peasants, tribesmen, and slaves make up the other 3. Every location has a population, and each combination of social class, culture, and religion creates a unique pop in the game. That pop may contain 1 person or 250 million, but it's still referred to as a pop. Okay, so we have a screenshot right here. Design copied from an old game I made a decade or 2 ago. UI as a bit placeholder, but I like the browsing capabilities. So yeah, obviously let's take a look at this as a placeholder. So I guess we're looking at Sweden's population right here. So this would be the Sweden menu, right? You drop it down, and then these would be the areas or the provinces. And then when you drop down an area or a province, I think, yeah, it is a province, you have the individual locations within that province. So this province right here is opened up, and these are the locations in it, pretty evenly distributed pops over here, I would say. I guess it's, tiny rural locations, so the population between them would be pretty similar. Now, this is the entire population of Sweden right here, so 92% are Swedes. We got about 7% Finns, Karelians, Sami, and Holsatian. I don't know who those guys are from Holstein, I guess. This is the religion makeup right here, almost completely Catholic. These other ones are really negligible right here. We do got some Norse pagans right here, and some Sami shamans as well, which is very cool to see, and a tiny bit of Orthodox population. And this right here obviously is, the class makeup of Sweden, so 98% peasants, 10,000 burghers right here, about 1,000 clerics, and very few nobles as expected. So yeah, this is right here, man. The some other things right here, I guess certain populations right here. I don't exactly know what all of these, I guess this is the number, right? The number of nobles that are Catholic in Swedish in Stockholm, the number of clergy that are Catholic and Swedish in Stockholm. I guess that's how it works. But yeah, honestly, even though Johan says this is a copied design from a very old game, I think it's very clear. And, even though it is placeholdery, everything is straightforward, and I personally do like this. Going over to population capacity, each location has a population capacity which depends on quite a lot of factors. The core of it is vegetation, topography, and climate, obviously, while the amount of buildings in development increases it as well. If your population is higher than its current capacity, then there's a very large impact on its migration attraction and population growth. While there are no restrictions on how many peasants, slaves, or tribesmen there can be in a single location, the amount of upper class pops there can be is limited. Okay, so that's very good to know, and depends on what infrastructure there exists for that type of pop. Of course, if their estates have money, they tend to want to construct buildings that increase how many they are to further increase their power of the country, which is something we did learn about quite a while ago, a couple of Dev Diaries back, that estates, or the pops within the estates, will sort of pursue their own interests automatically, which sometimes is positive and sometimes is negative. So, another reminder on that whole thing. There are reasons why you want upper class pops and not just always creating an egalitarian all our peasant society, and that is when the capital economy developing during this era depends heavily on burghers. So you want to have a fair amount of those. You want clergy of your national religion, as they will help with stability, and having nobles of proper culture will help with your diplomacy and warfare. All of this, once again, familiar, just a reminder. Now, this is the maximum burghers in Kalmar. So, okay, the fact that it's a town gives us plus 200. The fact that we have a brewery, a blacksmith, a weaponsmith, all of this increases, the amount of burghers that we can have. And because we're raising levies right here, I guess some of those guys are participating in the levies, so that's why it's minus 275. Having levies raised from a specific class reduces the maximum population there can be for that certain class. Once again, very clear right here. I'm liking everything that we're being shown. Now, moving on to promotion and demotion. So, the movement of the pops within the classes, which is something I was looking forward to learning about quite a lot. If there can be more pops of a certain social class, pops will promote to become that class over time. While there is a base value, promoting to some classes like nobles will just be a fraction of that each month, of course, because of the amount of nobles that we have, which is always so little. If you wish to speed this up in your country, you can use a cabinet member to increase it. We learned about that last week. All of these guys will have different abilities, similar to advisors. There are many factors that impact how quickly pops can be promoted. Some are affecting your entire country, some others are more local, like during devastation or a lack of control. Demotion happens when you have pops over your capacity and will happen much quicker than promotion. Okay, so this is the monthly promotion in Kalmar. Base is 10. We got a plus 26% increase because of the literacy of the peasants. So, they'll be, doing different professions maybe or whatnot, opening their own businesses or something like that. Obviously, we're just, fantasizing here. But yeah, that is increasing because these guys are literate. Now, because we have lack of control over here, it's, far away from our capital and whatnot. We don't have certain buildings there that increase control that much. That decreases it by 43%. But then because we have positive stability and it increases it, and some sort of policy or idea or, national focus active here, which increases it by 50%. So that's the base value, and this is the percentage increase of that. So, you give plus 26% to 10, and then take away 43%, then add 29, then add 50. 16 peasants will be promoted every month to become what is needed in Kalmar. So some of those guys may become burghers, some of those guys may become clergy, and I don't know how it works, but maybe some of those guys may become noble. Yeah, I guess. Now, going over to population growth right here, only peasants and tribesmen grow organically on their own, but all types of pops can die off from negative growth. Overpopulation, lack of food, war exhaustion, and devastation have a significant negative impact on population growth, while having access to free land and lots of food increases the growth. Not to forget, the population can die directly from diseases and warfare as well, which is going to be something super important right at the start of EU5, about 10 years in, when the Black Death comes in. So it's going to be very exciting to see. We're familiar with the population in a lot of these different regions of the map that's been shown to us, and we might think, wow, that's huge or that's so little. But keep in mind, really soon after that, we're going to get hit with the Black Death. So that's going to be very interesting to see. So this is the yearly population growth in Kalmar. Because we have a large food storage, this is how much it increases it. And because there's free land for peasants to settle or to farm or whatever, this is the other percentage increase. Peaceful and nice, the population should grow nicely here. Very cool. Now here we have assimilation, another very interesting thing that I think we have been waiting for quite a while to see what's gonna be up with that. Assimilation is a very slow process, and pops will assimilate to the primary culture in core locations if they belong to a culture that your country does not appreciate. Societal values and lack of control have an impact on this, but there are buildings and other things that can impact it. In most majorly populated areas, the natural growth of pops will outpace the assimilation, basically, migration and stuff like that. However, there is a cabinet action where you can increase assimilation in a specific province. So once again, we're in Kalmar here. This is the monthly assimilation plus 10 base value, but because of the lack of control and because I don't know, whatever this modifier is right here, it's actually lowered by what is this, by around 8%. So sadly, this is a slow process in this location. 3 pops will assimilate next month. So, if you have like, I don't know, 50,000 people in Kalmar, this is pretty irrelevant, right? Yeah. Going over to conversion. Converting pops works similarly to assimilation, but there are 2 major differences. First of all, there are mechanics and systems that sometimes change the religion of pops from what your country may desire. Secondly, there is normally no conversion, but you have to actively enforce religious conversion in a province by using a cabinet. The amount of the population that convert each month depends on what type of buildings you may have, your societal values, laws you can enact, or the privileges given to the clergy. If your clergy is very powerful, conversion is quicker. Once again, we're in Kalmar here, so the average literacy of the clerics increases the conversion speed. Once again, the lack of control is something that's really messing with us here regarding conversion and assimilation in Kalmar. And if you see right here, this spiritualist modifier or whatever is active increases conversion, but decreases assimilation. So it's very interesting that one thing can be active on multiple things right here. Maybe you want to assimilate and convert guys. How is it gonna work with this, And because enforced religious unity, we have a familiar state privilege right here, plus 10%. So yeah, moving on to another thing right here, we got migration. Probably one of the more important things that we're gonna take a look at in today's Dev Diary. There are several ways for pops to migrate. Multiple ones regarding the colonization aspect of the game will be talked about in a later Tinto talks. There's also content that does migration, where events, disasters, or other scripted content will set up a specific migration from one place to another, right? So we got migration that happens organically, and then all of these things right here are sort of not really scripted, but kind of, to move things along, historically or ahistorically. We'll see. However, there is a natural migration mechanic, like I just said, where the population will move between locations. Pop will move away from locations that have negative migration attraction and will go to one with higher migration attraction in the same market. Upper class pops are usually allowed to migrate, while not many countries allow their peasants to move freely. So this is definitely going to be something interesting to take a look at. If you're losing population, you're not going to want to allow these guys to leave. You're going to want to set up some modifiers to attract other people from different countries, once again, within the same market, to maybe, move over to your country. We'll see how all of that works. As for other things, you can use your cabinet to control this, where you can have one member of the cabinet leading an effort to expel people from one province, severely reducing their migration attraction, while another one could attract people to another province. You can also construct buildings in lowly populated locations to attract pops there. Once again, we're in Kalmar here. This is the migration attraction. Because the price of raw materials here maybe is expensive, people don't want to move, but because it's pretty developed, and once again, there's free land, just like we take a look at, certain things up here, they actually do want to move in. The price of stone in Kalmar is not inviting, but it's calm and plenty of land is available. So looking at these right here, it's still, a net positive. Now going over to literacy, each pop keeps track of its own literacy as well, and there are buildings, advances, laws, and other things that impact how quickly it can grow and how high it can be. Now, what I'm thinking about right here is, do you always want to have these guys be the most illiterate they can be? Are there benefits to keeping guys illiterate? I don't know. We'll see. The average literacy of a country has an impact on the research speed of that country, and the literacy of a pop has some impact on its satisfaction. However, there are also an immediate impact on the location of the average literacy of all the same social class. Among other things, the average literacy of the nobles in a location has an impact on how quickly control can increase there. I agree with that. And the average literacy of slaves in a location increases the unrest of the location. Once again, logical. Current literacy of the Swedish burghers specifically in Kalmar. So yeah, these are all the modifiers right there. Literate burghers will definitely make you richer over the long term. So yeah, there doesn't seem to be any negative effects from having very highly literate burghers. Going over to needs, now this is something where we went into these kind of stuff. I didn't really understand that much, and that I said, maybe I'll have to get into the game itself, actually play around with this to, get the whole thing. I said I had to try it out in practice rather than just reading about it, but let's see if this can be cleared up a little bit, at least for me. I know a lot of you guys already get this. Each pop has its own need for goods, and if they can't get all of those goods, their satisfaction will lower. Okay, I understand that. The goods that a pop requires depend on their social class, their culture, religion, and where they live. They also may start caring about goods when they know about them, as the demand for tobacco will only appear in Europe when the pops actually know about it. This is very cool. Obviously, people in colder climates will want more lumber or coal, where a giant pop is not wanting any fur at all. Yeah, this is very good, man. I like this quite a lot, this last part that we talked about right here. So, access to 91.66% of good pop needs. So this is the Swedish burghers in Visby, and this is what they want. Yeah, so I guess they're good on all of this. They only lack wine. So yeah, I'm not really sure why these burghers want more. But yeah, regarding this, that specifically the burghers in Visby require a wine, this is one of those little micro mechanics that I think you will be able to manage, but once your country grows bigger, you don't really want to concern yourself with these kind of things. And I hope this is one of the aspects of the game that can be automated or handed off to the AI or whatnot, so that you can focus yourself on the bigger picture instead of literally focusing on importing wine for the burghers in Visby, right? That's so micro. And like I said in a couple of videos ago, when you're playing a super tiny country, like, I don't know, 1 or 2 or 3 provinces large, talking about EU4 provinces, well, again, obviously we're gonna have like 30 different locations, specifically in EU5. Sure, when you're so tiny, you probably are going to concern yourself with this, right? Do a little of that micro while you're chilling and not doing wars. But when you're playing someone huge like Hungary, for example, you don't really want to be doing this, right? Importing wine for burgers in Visby or whatever. Moving on to satisfaction, the population needs impact their satisfaction in 2 ways. If they can't get the goods that they want, it's a penalty to their satisfaction. However, the prices of goods also affect their satisfaction. So listen, these guys need wine. What if we can import wine, but it's super expensive? So then they do have the wine, but now they're still not happy because it's so expensive, right? There are a lot of things to balance right here. But if you can get the goods that are cheaper in the market they live in, their satisfaction will increase. But their literacy impacts how much they understand the price impact, though. So a lot of this is super, super in-depth, man. I just hope it's not too much, right? I just hope it's not too much. Satisfaction also depends heavily on the status of the culture in the country, the religion they belong to, and how satisfied their estate currently is. There are other ways to make pops more satisfied, like certain buildings or the good old method of stationing armies. Pops with low satisfaction will join and start supporting a rebel faction. This is something very interesting that we already knew. And once again, the satisfaction of the peasants, specifically in Kalmar, judging by this, we can see that these guys are pretty satisfied. Everything right here that we have going is positive. The only thing that brings a slight negative satisfaction is the lack of beer. So are we going to import beer for these guys? And could it be too expensive? But what if they don't understand that it's too expensive? There's just so many things to go through right here. And I think it is very, very interesting. Even though the pops may not be upset enough to rebel, their satisfaction has other impacts, as the average satisfaction of all pops in a location has an impact on prosperity and control. So this is the average satisfaction of the pops in Kalmar at 75. Then all of these guys are pretty much the same amount of satisfied, and these are the effects we have monthly based on their satisfaction. So yeah, pretty good, I would say. And that actually wraps up this entire dev diary regarding pops, man. Very, very interesting. I'm liking everything that has been shared right here. Very, very in-depth, I think. And like I said, the only thing I'm a little bit worried about this is if it's too much, right? If it's too much. How important really are going to be modifiers like this? I'm talking specifically the burghers in Visby missing wine, or specifically the peasants in Kalmar missing beer, right? How important is that for us, and how important will it be to actually manage something seemingly so minor if you're playing a very major nation? But I think I'm excited to get into all of these things as a very small country. A lot of PDX games, you start off with a small country somewhere far off, and this is maybe more related to CK, right? Where you just do your own thing as a tiny little nation, tiny little guy, not concern yourself with the larger picture too much. Whereas in EU4, I think it's actually harder to play a small country. You don't really get to stand, out of the way and stuff like that. In EU4, you need, if you're a newer player, you need to play a big, strong nation, right? So what is it going to be like in EU5? Is it going to be like in EU4, where it's better to start off with someone huge, or like in CK3, where it's better to start off, I'm talking about learning the game, of course, with someone tiny? But yeah, I'm liking everything that I've seen so far, man. The introduction of pops itself was slightly controversial, I think, but the reception was definitely a lot more positive than negative. And now I want to know your opinion in the comments below about everything that we've learned today about pops. And obviously, we're going through all of these dev diaries, so if you enjoy these types of videos, definitely make sure to subscribe for more news regarding EU5. Now let's move on to Tinto Maps number 7 and analyze Anatolia. I know I skipped Great Britain, by the way, and I told you guys to check out Lath's video regarding the maps of Great Britain and Ireland, because it's so in depth, and I really don't know more than him. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely go ahead and check it out, since I'm not going to be covering the Great Britain maps. But yeah, let's go to Anatolia. Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to the 7th edition of Tinto Maps. I am once again asking for your support, back to the duty of showing a new region of the map of the super secret Project Caesar, and this week it's Anatolia. So, a region I've been very interested in learning about. I think it's going to be pretty important. I think we're going to be playing quite a lot over here, and obviously it's so different to EU4 already, man, because even though we're familiar with a lot of these guys already, in EU5, they actually exist at the start, along with the Ottomans. In EU4, we have Chandar, Karaman, Delkadir, and Ramazan, I guess, would be here. But here instead, we have Cilicia, which is the Armenian nation, as far as I know, right? Trebizond is also familiar. Germian, Saruhan, Aydin, Menteşe, Eretna, all of these guys already exist in EU5. But yeah, here is Anatolia in all its glory, man. We got the Knights right here a little bit that we can see. A couple of Biz exclaves, Genoa right here, some minor nations right here that I actually don't know about. Are these maybe Eretna subjects, since they're a similar color to Eretna? I guess we'll learn about that. And we have a very tiny Hizan Kaifa right here, and an even tinier nation right next to it. So all of these guys are going to be super interesting to see. And The Mamluks color has also been changed. Very cool. But yeah, going out of this right here, a beautifully divided Anatolia. The disintegration of the Sultanate of Rum in the 13th century caused by the Mongol invasion led to multiple Turkish beyliks grabbing power over the area. Probably the strongest in 1337 is once again the Ottoman one, founded by the Turkoman leader Osman Gazi. But there are other strong contenders such as the Eretinids, the Germanids, the Karamanids, which will be fighting for hegemony over the region. You might also notice that the Byzantine Empire, Eastern Roman Empire, alright, I'm not even gonna, it's Byzantium, bruh. It's Byzantium. Still holds a few positions in Anatolia, most notably the city of Philadelphia, which is right here. Apart from them, other interesting countries in the region are the Despotate of Trebizond, held by the Komnenoi, the Armenian Kingdom of Cilicia, which is right here, of course, and of course, the country known in another IP as his and Kaifa, the Ayyubids. The remnant in Al Jazeera. You may also notice some Genoese outposts, making them important players as well. Yeah, man. Genoa, I hope, man, I hope so much that finally some attention is brought to Genoa, man. It's such an important nation, really completely irrelevant in EU4, man. Completely irrelevant. All of this flavor has gone over to Venice, man. Genoa still super, super weak compared to them, so I hope these guys have some good things going for them. But these are the dynasties, nothing to take a look at too much right here. All of these guys, the Turkish beyliks, are named after the dynasty. We got the locations map mode right here. Nothing to take a look at too much. A lot of wasteland provinces, or whatever are called in EU5. These are the provinces themselves, which is still quite a lot more than in EU4. But keep in mind, all of these have a ton of locations in them as well. So this is, I guess, the province of Byzantium itself. Yeah, the Dardanelles, the Edirne, Evros, Kocheli. I know I'm looking at the Balkans right here, but really that's probably the major region that we haven't seen yet in in these dev diaries, along with the HRE. I'm talking about Europe, of course. Here we got the terrain, very interesting. Yeah, pretty cool, pretty normal. The topography, the vegetation, which is very nice. And here we have the culture map mode, maybe the most controversial thing from this dev diary. As we can see, almost all of Anatolia is striped up, man, which means it's going to be very, very diverse. Really, the only actual majority Turkish regions right here, or not majority, but, without a significant enough minority, or these ones right here that aren't colored in. I don't think, yeah, I guess these are like fully Greek right here. Lots of Armenian provinces right here. These are like fully Armenian. Syriac, what is this right here? I actually can't see that. Turkoman culture still present, along with Turkish. Pontic, I guess, is different to, regular Greek or whatever. So yeah, very, very cool to see. And we have some other, I guess this is Bulgarian, guys, I guess. Yeah, looking pretty nice right here. So Anatolia is the first region of the Middle East with cultural and religious minorities added just in time for this Tinto maps, so we can have endless discussions about the divide between the Greek and Turkish cultures. Hooray! Now, seriously, we've made what we think is the most accurate division for 1337, giving the scarcity of data. The stripes point to a variation of the pop percentages in each location, from let's say 70% Greeks in Izmir or Bursa to 80% of Turks in Ankara or Konya. We have also added some subdivisions of these cultures with the Pontic and Cappadocian Greeks as well, which are those guys right there, and the Turkomans. You might note a majority of them are on Sivas and Malyata, which we already took a look at right here. That portray a more class/social grouping divide rather than an ethnic or language divide, as these Turkoman pops are always tribesmen, while we consider the settled population as Turkish. Very cool. Other than that, we have a good amount of Armenians distributed between the areas of Cilicia and Armenia. Laz people to the north and Kurds to the east in brownish greenish culture, so I guess this right here. Also, please ignore the chunk of Syria that appears, as the minorities there are not done yet, so I guess this right here. And this is the religion makeup, which obviously would be pretty similar to the cultural makeup. This one right here is Coptic, right? We got Sunni, Orthodox, Nestorian pops over here as well. Sunni, yeah, very interesting religious makeup, man. Very interesting. I'm liking this quite a lot. I wonder how difficult it is going to be to play some of these beyliks right here, right? That are like Turkish, but actually most of the people in their land are Greek, and most of the people are also Orthodox. So yeah, it might be pretty difficult starts for some of them. This is the raw materials map mode and the market map mode right here as well. Constantinople, Trebizond, Damascus, and so on. Very cool. And the location and country population as well. This map mode still doesn't look that good to me, but yeah, how much pops do the Ottomans have 690k, Biz 1.2 mil, Eretna, I guess, is a pretty strong player. I guess maybe it is the strongest. Well, depending on, I guess, if we go no modifiers or anything like that to sort of railroad these guys historically, Eretna would be kind of stronger than the Ottomans, but I think these guys are going to have some insane modifiers for them, which would enable them to, historically conquer most of Anatolia and, the Balkans just about 100 years into the game. And actually, that's about it for the map of Anatolia right here. Next week, I guess we'll be taking a look at Russia. Very cool. I'm still most excited for the Balkans and the HRE proper. Those are two pretty important regions that we haven't taken a look at yet in Europe. But yeah, Russia is cool too, I guess. And that's about it for this, Dev Diary about Anatolia. So yeah, man, I think that about wraps it up for today. Not too much to go through with just these two Dev Diaries. Obviously, went through a lot over here. And yeah, definitely let me know on your opinion about the Anatolian maps as well as the, stuff that we talked about, the pops. Is EU5 gonna be too complex or too complicated? I don't know. I guess you could say that about any PDX game, but I guess time will tell. Everything that we've seen so far, I'm personally excited for. What do you think? But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to leave a like. It really helps out a lot. And if you like the content and want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of them. And you can become a member today and join the Discord. The link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with another EU5 news video.